Hello, Logan and Apps here, as opposed to Apps and Logan. Mixed it about. You have got a review for Mass Effect Andromeda. Hello, Apps.
Hello, that is the idea of this babble.
Well, we'll see,
Wow.
because I'm born from a position of ignorance here. So
Hmm.
I'm going to be interviewing you on a game and a series that I have never played.
No. Have
So,
you even seen it?
no, somehow this one, honestly, somehow this game completely has passed me by.
Hmm.
I haven't watched out of all the videos I watch of every game that I don't play. Again, somehow Mass Effect has just never even got a sniff in.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm quite intrigued actually because I'd like to know if this is the sort of game that I would be or that'd be worthwhile me picking up and having a go of to really get hold of the series. So
Yeah.
give me a quick 10, 20 seconds of the game and what it's offering me.
Yeah. So I guess to describe it, it's a big story-driven would be the first place to start. Action RPG, third person. You are the basic premise for this one is that you as a human and other races within the Milky Way have been sent 600 years in the future. Well, not in the future. They've just been cryogenically frozen to go and visit a brand new galaxy or universe, which is called Andromeda. So it leaves behind the previous three entries, and it's standalone. You land in this new kind of world, and you're tasked with finding habitats and getting a foothold, I guess, on Andromeda to make it a livable place for you and the other species that have come on these colony ships with you.
Okay, so by the sounds of it, it's a heavily driven story RPG style game.
Yeah, lots of RPG elements in it. You can build your character right from obviously the way that he or she looks. You can be male or female. You can only choose human, which, in this day and age, I think is a little bit short sighted. There's other species you could have been. But you can choose how they look, and then from there onwards, as you're progressing the game, you can build out your skills and your attributes to, play as you wish, I guess.
Okay, so in comparison to the other Mass Effects, I mean, I should say this game, or I think this game had a lot of hype built up
Ah,
for it. I
uh-huh.
know that I picked it in my gaming draft last year and I expected big things of it.
Yeah.
So how does the story stack up in your opinion? Does that hold weight with what you were expecting?
It's tough because if you compare it directly to the previous three games, one, you're looking at three games worth of story there. So
Hmm.
it's difficult to objectively sort of detach myself from that, having played through all of the previous three, and then this is a brand new, fresh take on it. All the main characters from Mass Effect 3 and behind that are gone, so you're stuck with brand new characters. And there's always that thing when a TV show or a movie tries to go in a new direction with a new generation where it just doesn't quite click to start with. I'm not familiar with these people, what they're doing. This is not how I remember Mass Effect. I think overall, for what it is, it's decent. It's passable. It's good enough to carry the story they were trying to tell there.
Okay, that's interesting. So, I guess I did see some videos of it, sort of pre-release stuff, or marketing videos. I thought
Yeah.
I had a little look at it. The graphics and gameplay looked pretty impressive. Was that up there with what you were expecting? Did it blow you away?
Gameplay. So if you're looking at the gameplay of this, you are primarily in combat. Out of all the four games, including if you want to include Andromeda, this is easily the best it's been. So if
Gold
you
star.
if you were to look at the way Hall always claims to judge games, it doesn't matter. The gameplay comes first. In
Hmm.
which case for this you go, well, it's the best one in the series.
Right.
But for me, it's not because there's more to a game than just the gameplay and my
Well,
expectations. So, presentation wise, when you get onto a brand new planet, it looks stunning sometimes. Like it puts No Man's Sky to shame. Not that it's fair to compare the two, but
well,
it's an easy one to make. It really does look brilliant. However, if you look behind the scenes of that and you actually start playing it sometimes and you're moving around, and the presentational part of it in cutscenes, they've had a bit of a mare really. It drops frames quite frequently. Even and we're talking nearly 2 months after its release now. It's been patched up a couple of times. There's still, as I was playing it this last week, there's still problems there. There's bugs. There's graphical glitches. When you're driving the Nomad, which is like a vehicle that you use to travel across the planets and explore.
Warthog.
Yeah, almost. It's not dissimilar to that. it will just suddenly pause for 5 seconds while it decides to load the
Oh
terrain in front
no.
of you.
Five
Maybe not
seconds.
5 seconds. It feels like 5 seconds, but it's just when the game suddenly stops, even if it's for a second, it's like, right, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And it's that sort of it. So if you look at graphically and the way it plays, it's beautiful. But the presentation and how it's put together, they've had a real stinker. And a lot was made at the release about how bad the character models look. They've kind of rectified that to a certain extent, but it's still not perfect.
So do you feel it's a bit sloppy,
Oh yeah,
or do you just think they've been over ambitious?
well, this is the point. So I took 77 hours. I think I put in that group that I
Mm.
pretty much played. And
Long old game.
they had a long old game, and I feel like in many ways what they've done, the changes they've made, i.e. they've made the Nomad a viable way to explore a planet, that you go and visit these planets, they look stunning, there's all these different side quests that you can do. The combat is better than it's ever been, other than I'd say the cover system, but that's a real, you'll get used to that, it's an auto cover system rather than like a sticky one. You've got all that good stuff, and the main story, like I said, is passable, good, but I think what's happened is they've built a 70, 80 hour, maybe 90 hour game if you do absolutely everything, and haven't had time to, polish it up essentially.
So you're basically saying you think they've been over ambitious. One of the things that I read was that this necessarily wasn't the best team that they could have had on it. Would you
No,
agree? What do you think that's had a part to play, or do you feel like perhaps they've done as good a job as they can with the best people that are available, but because there's this sniff of this second team that's going on that you're thinking, well, they haven't really, they've conned me out of this a bit here. They could have done better.
well, what's happened is this game's been in development 5 years.
Long old time.
Also, yeah, and at the end of the day, you can almost see what's happened. EA have come up to them and said, right, what are you doing over there?
Need to get another one of these out.
Need
When was
to-
it? So the last one must have been on the 360
Yeah, it was
or
all last
PS3.
gen. So the first one was 2007, I believe, and Mass Effect 3 was 2012. So
So they'd released three in 5 years, and then 5 years later, you're going right.
yeah, EA have got,
Where's this next
Alan's
one?
gone, oi!
I haven't got enough
Where's-
money coming through. Titanfall 2 was doing poorly.
Yeah.
EA need to be pulling it in. Mass Effect, get
Yeah.
that done.
And that's what's happened. They've essentially said, look, you've had 5 years at this. It needs to come out before our financial results in whatever month they do it. I mean, it come out around the March time. It's very obvious that the game could have done with 2, 3, maybe even coming out this fall or this sort of winter time to be cooked up and just polished up. Because, like I said, all the bare bones are there. It plays great, but there's just so many bugs and just bizarre things that will happen. And you can go in, put in YouTube Mass Effect Andromeda glitch, and there will be reams of the stuff for you to. It's quite funny, some of it, but it means when you're playing it, you're like, right, what have I just done here?
Yeah, I think for me, when I've played games, and I can't think of anything specifically at the moment, but if I was playing a AAA game, and I think that's the point, this is a AAA game release,
Yep.
this is a big name,
Yeah,
and especially with some of the ones that have been released recently, Uncharted 4,
yeah,
games like that are just so polished so well and so perfected. I think they set the bar so high
Yeah.
that they can't get away with these anymore. Like things that are not seamless, load screens, what you mentioned about pausing halfway through is just not acceptable now.
No.
And for me, definitely, if that starts happening, despite how good everything else may be, it always leaves quite a big black mark against it.
Yeah, there's no way that it can ever get a flawless recommendation because of those things. And whether it's because they run out of time or whether it's because they took too long, that's irrelevant. At the end of the day, when you put the disc in, you are treated to some fantastic moments, fantastic flexibility to build your character and use all the different powers for once and mix and match. And great gunplay and combat and a decent enough story. And then on the other side of it, sometimes when you're playing it, it's comedy, the way it just sort of unravels before your eyes. It's not often, but you'll put the game on and at least once something odd will happen. Like minor, but all the minor things obviously add up. And you can be hypercritical and say, well, that's not good enough. But I mean, ultimately, the good things outweigh the bad. And it's a shame that the news is coming out that they're going to be downsizing this particular branch of Bioware. And it doesn't look like we're going to get a follow-up to this, because I really feel like the foundations are there for a really excellent game and one that they can it's going to push the series forward, and in many ways it has, but because of the way it's come out and the reception it's received, it doesn't look like they're going to get a chance to fulfil that potential.
It's a shame, really, because although I've never played it, it is a title that I'm really familiar with, and it sounds like they've done a lot of things well in it. It just sounds like that these graphical and these performance issues have really cost them. I mean, it's across all platforms, I presume, as well. It's not just isolated.
Yeah, Master Race isn't getting away with it. There's still the animation. The animation is the animation at the end of the day. That glitches. I had a main quest bug, so I couldn't complete it. So I had to go back to restart the mission. So
Oh no!
20 minutes lost, and I was a bit livid about that.
Stuff like that would get binned for me. I'd be so livid.
When
I
you're
can't
50
bear.
hours deep, though, you can't be leaving it, can you? It got me by the bollocks there. What was I going to do? Walk away from it? No chance. I had to get it done. And look, it's the scope of the game is really impressive. Like I said, I've done 77 hours. There's probably 80, 90, maybe even 100 hours of stuff there for people to get stuck into, and plenty of other bits. But when you scope it out that big, I understand there's always going to be errors, there's always going to be mistakes, stuff that's overlooked. I mean, I look at the Fallout games. Good Christ, some of the state of those, but I still love them because they're a great experience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's a bit of a shame, really. But overall, then, would you recommend people to buy it or bin it?
It's going to be a buy it.
Buy it. You don't sound too convinced by that.
Yeah, no, fucking buy it.
There we go. Edit that bit out before.
Well,
just get rid of it. But okay, well that's good news. I mean, ultimately though, that you're given a buy it, but what grading do you give it?
It cannot get any higher than a bronze, simply because it's the problems that it does have. There are bugs. Some of the side quests, some of the tasks. It's kind of like 3 categories. There's a lot of filler in there, which you don't have to do, but for some reason I feel like I'm inclined to, and then I get annoyed at the game for it, which is not the correct way to deal with it. If I don't like it, I should just bin it off. But there's lots of bugs. There's animation glitches and whatnot. It's like I said, it probably could have got a silver if the bugs and that wasn't there. I'll be reluctant to give it anything higher because I still feel like, despite all the gameplay being the best it's been, it does just fall flat in certain areas with the way they kind of develop the story and the characters. And maybe that's not his fault. Maybe it's because it's a brand new kind of take on things. But a bronze, I think, is a fair result for those that want an epic space exploration adventure and that don't mind sifting through a few errors here and there and happy to overlook it. It's an absolute no-brainer. Mass Effect fans who have come from the past, that's where I can see the problem being, that people that were expecting this high, quality seal of approval on it, it's just not quite there. But I don't regret playing through it and putting the 77 hours into it.
There you go. So real mixed bag by the sounds of it. You sound genuinely let down by it. Like you're so frustrated by those few little bits that have really stopped it from being a great game.
I defy anyone to look at the gameplay reveals and the trailers they've put out pre-release and to not think that looks fucking excellent. And in those moments it does. It plays excellently, but the other stuff around it is just not quite what's required of a AAA game these days. It falls a little bit short. But that's not to say you should write the whole game off and bin it though. That's why it'll get a bronze rating. And to just put it in perspective, Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, probably my favourite gaming trilogy of all time. Mass Effect 2, one of my favourite games of last gen. So it was up against tough competition anyway.
No, that sounds fair enough. There you go then. A buy it at a bronze for Mass Effect Andromeda. We'll wrap it up there and we'll speak to you next time. Thanks for your time and ta-da!